Good day, my name is Christel from Frans, Klerk, Independent Technical Analysts. We had so many requests of Sibanye, I just had to kick off the show. We know that Sibanye have given us a massive rally, but since about July last year, this share has remained overbought. It did give a small pullback here in September 2019, but when Sibanye kept that 40-week moving average a support, it just rallied even to higher levels. So we can see here that a stochastic indicator can remain overbought, in other words, above an 80 or a 90, and the share price can continue to rise to higher levels. Now, interesting enough, there is a window on Sibanye waiting at around 54 Rand 77. That's where it closes. So the window is between 54 Rand 77 and 54 Rand 57. It's a 20 cents window. And we know the rules around windows are they always get closed. It can take weeks, days, months, or even decades. But in that week between the 5th of September 2016 and the 12th of September 2016, there is a window waiting on Sibanye. That means it's a possible target for Sibanye to the upside. Now, if we look back and we zoom out, I wanted to look at a strong previous support or resistance levels on Sibanye that we can identify as a possible place of weakness should Sibanye retrace. Now, the first place of weakness might be this 35 Rand 40. Only below that level can we say that maybe the selling pressure will come in. But keep in mind, this is a share which a lot of traders are looking at and still believe it's got a lot of upside. So we might see a small pullback and then more upside. The question was, will I buy it now? No, I think it's too overbought. It is too risky. If you haven't bought at lower levels, I think you've missed the boat, and maybe look for other opportunities. If you do want to short the share and you are a very brave trader, you can maybe consider a short below 35.40 and use these upper levels at 42.03. And even if you have a look here, that level of resistance was tested 42.03, and again here in November 2016, and a very strong support there in the week of the 20th of June 2016, where the share found support and then rallied to higher levels. So at the moment, I think you're too late, but 35.40 can be a place of weakness. And then, of course, the long-term sentiment towards Sibanye is still positive, and maybe a possible target there of 54.77. Klerk wanted us to look at Naspers. And the reason why I also want to use this platform for Naspers is because the other one is incorrect. And there is this massive bearish candle because of the unbundling of process. Now, if we look at it on a daily graph, it is a massive gap, and that is a window, which means it's a possible target that Naspers can go. And let me show the daily graph for the viewers. Here's this massive gap in Naspers because of the unbundling of process. That is a fundamental window. So you get two types of windows. You get fundamental windows that comes through either dividends, rights issues, or unbundling. Any capital structure of the company that might have changed causes a gap on the share price, and that is a fundamental window. Or you get an emotional window where traders have reacted to a side and have either gapped the market to higher levels or lower levels. In both cases, the rule are that it always closes the window. So a possible target for Naspers is still this 3,481 Rand 35. Will it close it within the week? No, but it is a possible target for higher levels. It is still, let's go back to the weekly graph, it is still below the 40-week moving average, which is seen as negative. But have a look that since that week of the 9th of December, Naspers has started to make higher lows. It pulled back a little bit, found support, bounced, retraced, consolidated for a while sideways, but kept the support in place and continued to rally for higher levels. And that is seen as positive. Yes, the share is overbought because of the rally to the upside, but we can maybe see small pullbacks and then more upside on Naspers. That gap on the daily graph should not be ignored. If you want to buy Naspers, maybe it can pull back towards levels around 2,294 Rand 20. I think those are strong support levels that might be considered for buy opportunities. But at this stage, I would be very, very careful to short Naspers. I still think there is a lot of leg for upside. Let's have a look at Afrimat. Stephen wanted us to look at Afrimat, and the ticker of the share is AFT. Now, Afrimat currently has a beautiful symmetrical triangle on it. Now, technically, this might also be a possible bullish flag formation. What does that mean? It means the share currently is an overall uptrend. We can see that. It might be in a pause phase. And if Afrimat can change this upper band, that trend line that I've drawn in there, into a support, and that is waiting at 34 Rand and 3 cents. If the share can change that level into a support, it means the momentum to the top can escalate even further. We can see for several weeks now, since that week of the 9th of September, the share has managed to keep the 40-week moving average, that red line on my weekly graph, as support, and that is seen as positive. So we can see that there's definitely investors that are protecting the share. When will my concern be on the table? When Afrimat starts to consolidate below this lower band, and that is waiting there around 31 Rand 60. Below 31 Rand 60, I would be concerned about Afrimat, but this possible bullish flag or bullish pennant is a positive formation because it means it is a continuation pattern. So it means the overall trend is clearly upwards. We can see that there was a small pause in the share, and if the share can manage to change that upper band into a support again, it means it can even escalate to higher levels. Only when Afrimat starts to consolidate below that 40-week moving average, and that is waiting there around 32 Rand 12, and then especially that lower band on the symmetrical triangle. Will I start to long the share now or short it? No, my indicators are not in ideal territory. And whether you use a stochastic RSI, MACD, Bollinger Bands, it is an indication whether the share is overbought, and that means the probability of a pullback of the share is more likely, or is it oversold on the stochastic below a 20, which means the probability of a bounce to higher levels is more probable. So when the indicator is in a mid or a no man's land in mid zone here around 60 or 53, it means it's not really stretched to a side. And if you are in a boxing match, you want to get your opponent in the corner, because then if he hits you, or her maybe, you don't have that much space for the opponent to fall. You're closer to the side in order for you to bounce back. And that's almost the same in technical analysis. You want the indicator to be stretched in a corner before you hit it, because then hopefully, if you're wrong, there's only so much room for it. But keep in mind, like in Sibanye's case, we see that the indicators can, for a very long time, remain overbought or oversold before it actually retraces or bounces to higher levels. Stephen, I think this is a nice graph about Afrimat. If you're not in it already and you do want to chase the momentum, then use that 34 Rand 03 level to buy the share, and maybe that 40-week moving average level as a stop loss. Clive wanted us to look also at Aspen. Now, Aspen currently, and we've said previously on the show that when the share changes this red line, the 40-week moving average, into a support, it's a good indication because it means the long-term sentiment towards the share has changed to positive. Now, Aspen has got a beautiful possible inverse head and shoulder formation with a left shoulder, a massive head, and a right shoulder, and it looks like it might be building on another right shoulder. And only when Aspen changes that neckline, which is waiting there around 126 Rand 41, into a support, will the formation be confirmed, and can I expect higher levels? What is possible target levels for Aspen? We can take the length of the left or the right shoulder, project it upwards from where we think it will be confirmed, and that means a possible target for Aspen is around 143 Rand 60. That's a conservative target. The full target of the formation is the length of the head projected upwards from where at the place where it will be confirmed at the neckline. If I project it, that means Aspen can maybe go to around 180 Rand 78. When will the optimism of this formation becomes obsolete? When will it be off the table? It will be when the Aspen starts to consolidate below 107 Rand 82. Yes, Aspen is overbought. So if you want to consider a short, you can do that. But I would use that next line as a possible stop loss of around 127 Rand 34 to protect capital should the share maybe turn around here. But I think for long-term investors, Aspen has got a beautiful inverse head and shoulder formation, which is a positive formation for higher levels. Aspen would be a concern when this 40-week moving average changes into a resistance again. Peter wanted us to look at FirstRand. Now we know FirstRand has been consolidating in a band since about March 2018, and some of the traders have used this volatility to buy and trade the share. But Peter, I think this is a beautiful tweezer bottom on FirstRand that we cannot ignore. Now a tweezer bottom is 2 consecutive candles, and keep in mind this is a weekly graph, so this candle is not finished yet. That candle will only be finished on a Friday close. But what I can see here is 2 consecutive candles here, both that found support at almost the same levels and has moved to higher levels. My stochastic indicator is oversold. It hasn't confirmed yet. I haven't got a divergence yet. So the shorter blue line hasn't broken upwards through my red line yet. That would be our ideal divergence. But the candles, the price action of the share is telling me that in every pullback for the last 2 weeks, there were buyers who protected the share. So if you want to consider even a long or a buy opportunity, you can do it around current levels at around 61 Rand and 5 cents. And you can use a stop loss of around 58 Rand 83 to protect capital. Possible target obviously is that 40-week moving average, waiting at 64 Rand 28, or even that upper band that has been a resistance on FirstRand for a very long time, waiting there around 71 Rand 55.